Hello. Welcome back to the IRL Internet Girl podcast. As always, it's me, Nadia, the IRL Internet Girl.
I heard black women was a source, of course. I'm kicking it for all of you and yours. New episode, I don't care what you rejoice.
I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing and being a part of the IRL Internet Girl Club. I love you all so much. I do want to start this episode out. My heart is really heavy. First of all, I want to say rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan. If you don't know, he was a rapper. His probably biggest time was like between like 2014 to 2016, 17, which was the time I graduated college in 2015, excuse me, and I was coming into my 20s. So his music, Rich Gang, Young Thug, all of that was really popular when we would go out to the clubs and the bars. I actually remember dating a guy, and this was probably right before Rich Homie Quan got like big, and he had his like mixtapes on his like iPhone. Like I must have got off of SoundCloud or something, and he would like pick me up in his car, and that's what we would listen to, and I'd be like, "Can I play my girl music?" But the song "Lifestyle." You know, somebody said, I know you geezers was having a ball when Lifestyle came out. And we were. We had a fabulous time when we heard, did a lot of it just to live this here lifestyle. We had a good time, okay? We had cameras with bad quality, and people really didn't care about having an aesthetic Instagram at that time. So yes, I'm sure there is a Snapchat video somewhere of me. If you have it, keep it on lock because don't nobody want to see that, including me. But I want to say rest in peace. He unfortunately died of an overdose, I think, or maybe whatever he was taking did not agree with him, the drug that he was on. So he leaves behind 4 children and a girlfriend and a couple side chicks. You know, every time somebody dies, this is like not the first time that this has happened. This may be like, I feel like this has happened 4 or 5 times on the internet that I can think of, that a man has died and then all of a sudden a woman was like, yeah, we used to date or whatever. And it's like, now's not the time. Like, I don't know. I guess, but now is the time because he can't say anything, you know? So Erica Banks of the Bus It Challenge and of the Baby Hair Struggle Bus posted a video basically saying that her and Rich Homie Quan had a thing, and of course she was heartbroken, and it was pictures of them canoodling. And then some other young lady posted pictures too. Mind you, this man has a girlfriend, and unfortunately she is the one that found him passed away. The 911 call got leaked to TMZ. I didn't listen to it. I think it's really gross that somebody would do that. I can't think of anything more upsetting than listening to a 911 call of someone finding their loved one dead. So, you know, it's really sad. I know he had talked about his issues with drug use in the past and how it was really spurred from his career kind of hitting a stalling point. You know, it's really hard to make it in rap. You know, you had a good little run, but you have to constantly be putting out hits and being on the next wave where you kind of get lost. And then I know him and Young Thug were very close and they had a big falling out. I think he even mentioned maybe a couple days before he passed that he would have liked to work on their friendship. The positive thing that I see come out of this is Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug were affiliated with Migos at the time. Well, I guess still are, but they were all part of that like Atlanta rap scene. And Quavo posted a picture of him, Takeoff, Offset, Rich Homie Quan, and Young Thug. Now the photo was shady. So if you don't know, Takeoff, also 1/3 of the Migos, sadly passed away. He was shot and killed. And kind of in the wake of all of this, the Migos kind of broke up, and Offset and Quavo have had like some sort of falling out. I really don't know what it's about, but they've had an issue. So there's an old picture of them when they're all together, and Quavo posted like, when we were doing this, I never thought that what would happen now. Takeoff was his nephew, I want to say. I know that's country. If you're from the South, you know sometimes auntie and a niece and an uncle and a nephew be the same age, but they were very, very close, and I think he was very, obviously, as well as Offset, you know, they all grew up together, very devastated by Takeoff's death. It was from senseless violence. So he posted a picture on top of, over the picture of Takeoff, there's like a little rocket because he's passed away. Then there's a picture of, then the Young Thug above him, he has a chain. I'm sorry, because Young Thug is currently locked up and he's going through the whole YSL trial, which maybe I should do an episode on where that is right now because I find it so fascinating, the cast of characters. And then I forget what he has over Rich Homie Quan's, but something about him being dead and sad, and he has a little broken heart off of Offset because they're not getting along. But I think they talked on the phone, and Quavo posted something like, "Got to talk to my brother Offset." So hopefully, I not like I'm some huge Migos fans, but I like a couple of the Migos songs. I like Stir Fry, and I feel like I liked Motorsport. It was cause of much drama, but I liked Motorsport. So, I thought it was sad that they had their falling out. So hopefully, this is sad, but sometimes, unfortunately, as human beings, we need a wake-up call and realize how short life is. So I just am praying for Rich Homie Quan's children, his family, the people that loved him, and the young men in the community. It's been difficult over the past year. So many black men have lost their lives. We've lost the legendary DJ and hype man, Fat Man Scoop. I mean, it's really hard to just see this amount of death in such a sad way, and people who are so young. Rich Homie Quan was only 34, so that's really, really young, and somebody that was such a part of my going out and about time. It's very upsetting. And then, of course, I also want to send love and peace and prayers to the victims of the school shooting that happened in Georgia this past week. A young man went into his school and he killed 2 teachers and 2 students, and a couple others were injured. The students, obviously these are young people, this was their first week of school, have been posting videos talking about their experiences, what they experienced while it happened. Even some of them had videos while they were in lockdown, and it has been heartbreaking. I had to get off of TikTok because it was just all these videos of these young people. You could see in their face, this is a loss of innocence. It was horrible. One of the young men that died, his sister was in the school, and his sister was saying how much she loved her little brother. So my heart really goes out to those kids, the teachers, the family of everyone, and people in that community. And my hope is that, Georgia is a very conservative place, and I'm sure there's a lot of book bans and all this kind of stuff. But I hope these children are given a safe space, a creative outlet to be able to express their feelings. I was thinking how unfortunate it is that we're in such a time where so much of the things that could help children are being policed, like the book bans and, the fear-mongering against queer people, and just thinking how growing up, reading a book or reading a poem or even watching a movie can have such a profound effect on you growing up. And I know that I had those moments where there were certain books that I read, even in class, that made me think of things a different way and challenged my thinking. I remember we read Beloved by Toni Morrison, and at the time you're like, I have to read this book. But I'm glad I read that. I'm glad I read all the books I read. I think it really helped me as a human being, as a person. I remember reading Thousand Splendid Suns, which, if you don't know, that's the follow-up to Kite Runner, and just the effect that had on me as a person, as a young woman. Those things are really important. So I hope that those children are able to find an outlet, and I think books and reading are such a wonderful outlet. But I just, beyond thoughts and prayers, there needs to obviously be change and action done. And it is unfortunate that it feels like nothing will be done. My fear for these children is they're being so public about their feelings and their emotion on TikTok. One, I just worry about crazy people harassing them or harming them. It makes me think about what happened with Sandy Hook and the Sandy Hook truthers. I didn't watch the documentary The Truth versus Alex Jones, but I listened to Liz Explain. She has a really good episode about the documentary, breaking down the ways in which Alex Jones's conspiracy on Sandy Hook caused immense psychological damage to the victims' families. So I hope nothing like that happens to them, and also I hope that they're able to process it. They're very, very young, so this may be the first tragedy they've had, and you have to have skills to cope. And so you can see as they're doing the videos, they kind of get choked up in the middle of talking, or even in the interviews, you can kind of see in their eyes that they are connecting the dots of the fear they experience, the loss that they experience, and realizing that things will never be the same again. So I do hope that they have a safe space to be able to have those emotions, to have people validate them. And it's really sad. I mean, the young man who did it was 14 years old. I mean, he's really a baby too. And his father has been arrested because apparently there was an FBI knowledge that this young man had been talking about doing this act, and his father gave him a gun for Christmas. I could speculate on why that is, but I'm not going to. But it's heartbreaking. So I just wanted to start that out. I know it's really sad, but I just think it's important. Those two things have been really heavy on my heart. Okay, the rest of the episode, I pinky promise, is going to be light. So first of all, if you didn't know, happy B-Day, 9/4/83. Beyonce just celebrated a birthday, and for her birthday, she came out with Sir Davis, and it is out on stores. You can get it at, I think, pretty much any liquor store, and you can buy it online. And I went to Total Wine, and I got me one last night. Yes, honey. Look at that horse, look at that horse, look at that horse. Pretty as hell au naturel dining on bars. So I like a whiskey. Back in my younger days, I was known to have a whiskey sour, which is silly, dumb, awful, disgusting. What was I thinking? But I also did drink Everclear 100 proof grain alcohol and Gatorade. So you can't say much about it, but I'm over the age of 21, so I can drink this legally. I'm 31. I'm 10 years old enough to drink. So it's a beautiful ribbed glass bottle. For those of you who are watching me on YouTube, you can see it. I've drank a little bit of it. I had it, I made me a little cocktail. I cannot drink liquor straight. I'm not that kind of girl. It's a lovely bottle. It was $90, which is expensive for a liquor. But for a nice whiskey, it is pretty inexpensive. I think I'm probably going to keep this bottle forever. I'm not going to drink this every night, so I'll probably try to save it for, the weekends or special occasions. So hopefully it'll last me a while. It's a lot of liquor. It's a lot. Normally I have this lovely, a lovely decanter that I put things in, but the bottle is just so beautiful. I think I'm going to keep it. So I would say if you like to have a good time, you like a cocktail, I think if you are a whiskey drinker, it's very smooth. It's got a little burn, a little heat to it. I think you would like it. Okay, so today we're going to talk about friendship breakups, because what has also been on my mind on the silly side of things is the fallout between Ice Spice and Cleotrapa. I'm just going to call the young lady Cleo because I feel like I'm going to get tongue-tied. So if you don't, you all know who Ice Spice is. Miss Poopy. Miss Munch, Miss Moochie. I'm from the Bronx. You know Why You Did Me Dirty. I'm from the BX. Orphan Annie, Tease, Barbie Girl Remix, co-star. And she has a friend named Cleotrapa. She is a rapper, but you probably know her from her extremely funny TikTok videos. She's really funny on TikTok. She's the one that's like, let's get the bill, her. And then she's the one that's like, turn it on, like your mind. And she has this funny videos where she's explaining grammar to people. To explain her, she's like a beautiful, cute, dark skin young girl. I think her and Ice Spice are probably, what are they, like 22? They're babies. She usually has long hair, and she wears chunky boots and mini skirts. And that'll become important in a second. So she has music. We're going to talk about the music at the end. So Ice Spice had a new album come out called Y2K. These girls are so silly. Like, these young girls with this Y2K, trying to bring back the early 2000s, they never know. They don't know how to do it. They don't understand the crunchiness of the time, the bad tan of it all. Like, they'll never have it. So she went on tour. I think she went on a couple cities. I'm kind of surprised that she went on tour so fast. But this is her first album. Her other album, Like, was an EP. I remember listening to it like when I was working out, and I was like, okay, this is cute for a little yin yang around the house, but I don't ever have to listen to this again. I am not a fan of her music. I don't like that type of rap music. The drill beat, it all kind of sounds like woo 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 to me, and it's very like, turn that down. Auntie don't want to hear that. Turn that off. No offense to the drill rappers here and across the water, but as far as me, I don't want to hear that. I like a more southern style rapper. I like Lotto. I like Flo Milli. I like Megan Thee Stallion. Like, that's the kind of shit that I like to listen to when it comes to female rap and rap in general. That kind of like, I won't even say Rough Riders, whatever that is, I don't want to hear that. So, but I always thought she was a cute girl. She seemed like a sweet girl, you know, whatever. So Cleo got on the internet. She was, I guess, like the opening act for Ice Spice, and I kind of knew they were friends. And she basically aired the hell out. I mean, she just she told it all, tell it all. Okay, she laid it low and spread it wide. She told all the tea from the tour. So a little bit of background. Ice Spice recently got into some hot water. There was this girl, well, I don't know if it was hot, tepid water. Her name is Baby Stormy. I think I talked about her. She and Ice Spice are like childhood friends, and they had a big falling out. And Baby Storm leaked all these text messages and saying a lot of things. I'm not even going to get to the Baby Storm of it all because I don't think she's well mentally. But one of the things that got leaked in the text was Ice Spice saying, I think Cleo is jealous of me. They're both like, they make similar music, they're around the same age, but obviously Ice Spice has blown up. This young lady, I think she probably has a lot of TikTok followers and all that kind of stuff, but her music hasn't blown up. So Cleo said she went to her, they talked about it, and she was just like, oh, I think everybody's jealous of me, which is weird. And Cleo admits like, that might have been a red flag. I really don't like people who do that. And that, I think that's the theme of it, is that Ice Spice thinks people are jealous of her. So they go on tour. According to Cleo, Ice Spice called her last minute and said, come on this tour with me, the day before it started. And Cleo said to her, Cleo's an independent artist, and she said, you know, do I need to pay for anything? What do I need? And Ice Spice said, you're good. You're going to be with me. And they have been friends for 2 years. Now, they say they've been friends for 2 years. Cleo said they've never hung out like in a casual sense, you know, where you just like have your homegirl come over and y'all just watch TV and you just, in no makeup, no bonnet. Every time they've hung out, it's been like a look, like they went to the game together, or they've been on video shoots or photo shoots, or they've been out to eat. Like, they've been friends for 2 years, but they haven't been like intimately like alone with each other, like in their natural state. You know, that wasn't something to do with business. On tour, of course, she's super excited. This is an amazing opportunity, and things just go left. It starts with they're in, I think, Philly, and there's a bag situation, and Ice Spice has security. Cleo doesn't. The security comes and takes Ice Spice's bag to leave from the venue to go. Cleo asked the security basically to carry her bags. They're basically like, we don't work for you. We work for Ice Spice. So Cleo felt really humiliated. She had to carry her bags by herself in the rain. So then from there, she basically told Ice Spice how she felt, that she was humiliated. And then from there, the communication just broke down. And there was just a series of events that made Cleo feel as if Ice Spice was trying to sabotage her and put her in a place. And it made Ice Spice feel as if Cleo was ungrateful and jealous and a hater. According to Cleo, the tour was 30 Days of Hell, which is, that's a lot. And at first I was like, okay, diva. But then as I listened more, I could see it. So one of the big issues was there was a chicken salad issue. And you might have seen this on TikTok. Cleo says that Ice Spice was like grumpy and in a bad mood, and she didn't really hang out with her. They weren't really together. Like after this event, they kind of did their own separate things, and she was very alone. So she became friends with Ice Spice's makeup artist and stylist. So everybody was ordering food. She ordered a chicken salad, and then a text message came back saying Cleo's not part of the budget, which made her feel left out, ostracized, and confused, because this whole time this girl has told her, you good, you with me. Then there's a steakhouse issue. They are somewhere traveling on a tour bus. It seems like they take a tour bus to a place and stay in a hotel, but they're using a tour bus to go from place to place. I guess maybe, I wonder where they were, and if they were like in Vegas or something. They were in the desert, and it was pretty like empty and vast, and there was a McDonald's, but it was like walk away, and there was no food. She was hungry. And then come to find out that they had all went to the steakhouse. You have listened to her tell it. This part's really funny. And she's like, nobody called us. Like, I want some cream spinach. I want a steak. I'm over here trying to figure out how I'm going to get to McDonald's. This is in the middle of nowhere. There's no Ubers. I'm hungry. You didn't even say anything about that. Her Ice Spice's stylist who was fired, he said, that they were at a club, and Ice Spice's producer Riot, aka Stop Playing With Him Riot, they're like dating on the low, but like everybody who knows. And I guess he came on the tour at some point, and he was talking to Cleo, and I guess was noticing that there was tension, and Ice Spice was upset, and then made everyone kind of separate. So ended up becoming two buses. And so I think Cleo was under the impression that her and Ice Spice would be like sharing a bed on the bus, because they have bunks and there's one big room in the back. And so there just like was a really big separation between, basically Cleo got put on like the helps bus, so to say. And the stylist is inferring that maybe Ice Spice felt a way about her man comforting Cleo. Maybe he said something to Ice Spice like, you're not being very nice, and it caused an issue. Apparently they were in a car going somewhere, and Cleo had her music playing on the aux, and what came up was, she said, the stylist said, whose album. I'm assuming it's Lotto's album, Georgia Peach. Lotto and Ice Spice don't get along, and the Lotto album came up, and Ice Spice was upset and was like, turn that off. And I think Cleo was probably like, but I want to listen to it. But like, damn girl, there was an issue of like, somebody ordered pizza and then Cleo didn't get any pizza. It just felt like over and over again she was getting left out of the scenario and also she wasn't allowed to bring anyone. She was by herself. Eventually, I guess when she was in Chicago, she had an assistant, and then Ice Spice was like, she can't come, so she had to fly her back to New York City. So she felt ostracized. At the end of the trip, she sends her a long text message about how she feels, and Ice Spice is basically like, what are you complaining about? You're pressing me about some bags and a chicken salad, and you got on tour with me. You don't have any friends, like basically going off on her. So Cleo leaks it all. Ice Spice's response is not really a response. She didn't have an overall response. She kind of nitpicked certain things, but the thesis statement was, she did this out of the kindness of her heart, and she invited her, and the girl should be grateful, and she's being ungrateful. She said that she really didn't explain the situations. Like, she didn't deny that the bag situation happened or the chicken salad situation happened. She kind of was just like, they're no big deal. Why are you complaining about a bag and a chicken salad? I put you on. You should just be grateful that I asked you to be there. And Cleo, when she said this, and I thought this was very insightful, I think kind of wraps up a lot of my thoughts. She said, you let me eat, but you gave me crumbs. You shine light on me, but you dim me. So that is the big issue between the two. Now, all I could think of is watching this, that this is something that, oh my God, this happens in your early 20s where you make a fast friendship and it feels really deep, and then you have a falling out over something really stupid and dumb, and it's something that happened to me. So speaking specifically about the situation, one, I think it has a lot to do with like the industry. So on a business side, I feel like they both were in the wrong because they did not really use their business sense. So one, I think Cleo didn't have the right expectations of what it means to be an opening act on tour, or what it even meant to be on tour on a tour bus, because she's never done it before. She made a comment that the tour bus was like a slave ship. That's in poor taste. I wouldn't say that, but tour buses aren't luxurious. It's bunks and one room in the back, and the star sits back there. It's a bus. It's not glamorous. And it seemed to me to be maybe an entitlement, not to this situation, but to like having this like glamorous tour experience. Like, she didn't want to carry her bags. She found carrying her bags in the rain embarrassing, which I don't know why that's embarrassing, and I don't think it should be embarrassing to you. And it almost makes me feel like you think that you're at a place where you don't have to carry your bags. And it's like, divas, Beyonce carried her bags. You know what I mean? It feels like maybe you don't understand that this is a grind, that you are going to be in the middle of nowhere and not have things. and not be aware of things, and showing up to the tour last minute, being told that you can have a manager. Ask some more questions. That's my thing with Cleo. I know she said you good, but like, what does that mean? Am I coming on the trip as your homegirl? Okay, I'm opening. Do you have dancers? Do you have wardrobe? You had one day to get this together, which I understand why she took it. It's an incredible opportunity, and I would see why she wouldn't turn it down. I think maybe she could have said, how about I come out for your New York and your Philly show, or something like that, instead of going on this whole tour. I'm very curious as to why it was done last minute. Ice Spice's manager was like, no artist should do something last minute, but it's like, but your artist ask. I don't ask. I don't know why Ice Spice is the one booking her headliners. That it should not be her job. It needs to be the job of her team and the people at the label, because it's not about who you're friends with, it's about who fits on the tour. From Ice Spice's perspective, I cannot tell how much in charge of things she was. So she's on a label, the label pays for everything, and they do have a budget, and Cleo was not in the budget. But the issue is, why didn't you tell her that? Why did you lead her to believe, according to her, that you didn't know anything? And if this is your tour, this is your name, you need to make sure everything is good. If you are boss enough to be able, the day before you go on tour, ask someone to come on tour with you with no backups. You had nobody else that was supposed to come on. You should be boss enough to talk to this girl directly, because a lot of things that were happening were going through the management and the security. And I feel like as a businesswoman and being in this industry, you should have talked to this girl and said XYZ 1 2 3 4 5, instead of doing it in the background. And then for all this stuff to come out and not really have an answer, it just doesn't cut the mustard, and it makes you look bad. On a friendship situation, to me, based on the story, the error is on Ice Spice, because if somebody is your friend, somebody is your homegirl, and you say you good, I got you, that means you good, I got them. And beyond a business, how can you ever in any scenario watch your friend struggle to carry bags in the rain? You know what I mean? I can understand this was somebody you didn't know and she was just an opening act. I don't think many headliners would let people use their security. I just don't think that happens from the stories that I've heard. Not saying it's a nice thing to do, but when you're the headliner, you're the star, and the opening act is the opening act, and they kind of do with what they have. But if this is your friend and this is someone that you care about, wouldn't you ask your security, say, I pay you extra, carry her bags, or help her carry her bags? Like, that's not friendship. If this person is your friend, why would you ever want to go to the steakhouse with them? If she came to you and said she felt a way about a bag, or at the end of the trip, which I think she did at the end because she didn't want to ruin the tour, came to you and had this long paragraph, that's hurt, that's pain. Why wouldn't you have a little bit more empathy and understanding? If this is supposed to be your homegirl, it makes me feel like you didn't like this girl and you just picked her for whatever reason, and that you guys really aren't friends. Because one, why would you think your friend is jealous of you? And two, why wouldn't you make sure that she was good? If I say to my friend, you're with me, you're good, that means whatever happens, you're good. And that's how I am with my friends. I would never go any place or do anything with my friend and leave them without. Even if I have to go out of my own pocket, even if we have to change our plans, I would never sit at a table eating a steak and they're eating a ham and cheese sandwich. I would rather not eat a steak and eat a ham and cheese sandwich, if that's what that meant. I would rather go in my pocket and I would rather buy them a steak. Then I would rather eat the ham and cheese. Like, I would never do that to a friend, and I wouldn't want to. Friendship means you want to be around each other. And maybe that's like what's not clicking for these young girls. I would want my friend around me. I would want her on the bus with me. I would want her in my room. This is my friend. I can't think of anything more fun than experiencing the world and traveling with your best friend. But this leads me to know that you guys really aren't friends. And Ice Spice was like, well, we went to an amusement park one time, and it's like, that doesn't explain how this girl felt left out, that you were doing your own thing and that you didn't have her around. And she thought in her mind, she was like, it's gonna be me and it's gonna be Ice, and that's not what that is, because I don't think they had that kind of relationship. To build that kind of relationship, honestly, takes years and time, spending together, everyday life, just being able to do nothing together, because for a lot of the tour you're going to be bored. So being able to just sit in each other's presence and just look at each other, have one person be on the phone, watch a movie, not talk, whatever, say 3 words to each other, but still have that ultimate connection. Like when I was in college, my best friend Chandler, shout out to Chandler, she's getting married in December. We were in a Hatter Productions is what it was called. It was like an event planning organization, planning events for campus, and we were like this. And everybody knew if like we needed to drive somewhere. So if something was going down, if like we were all gonna meet somewhere or do something, I didn't have a car at the time. My friend had a car. She had like a Z3 2-seater. Everybody knew Nani and Chandler are gonna roll together. Something's going on, Nani and Chandler are gonna roll together because that's my best friend down. So there's no way I'm going to the steakhouse and Chandler's not there with me. If she's on the trip with me, I don't want to go eat if she's not with me because this is my best friend. So I find that interesting and curious. The thing that I find messy is Cleo spilling these beans. If it was me, I wouldn't spill it. I'm thankful she did because I have something to talk about. But from a professional standpoint, it's not a good look to always have your name associated with mess. And I think because we're in such the social media, spill it, tea, let me tell you, story time, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's just like you had this opportunity, and she said it, like I was gonna make it what I did, and I'm sure she gained a lot of fans. She got amazing opportunity to practice being a touring artist. I just don't know what the benefit to her career will be to air this out, or what it will be to her like personally as a person. I don't know. So but my heart goes out to her because I think she was really upset and she almost started to like kind of cry. And when I was a little bit younger than them, when I was in college, I had a horrible friendship breakup. I guess I was 18 and I met this girl and we became close so fast, and she's a big part of who we are. Like the year and a half we were friends, she had a huge impact on my life. She was like the first black girl that I knew that had natural hair. This is like right before the natural hair movement took off, and pretty much everyone I knew had a perm or a weave, or a sew-ins were really big at the time. It's crazy now that college girls are probably wearing wigs, but when I was going to school, people wore sew-ins. And I just remember seeing my friend, and she had natural hair, she had these twists, and it just fascinated me. I thought her hair was so beautiful, and she inspired me to go natural, and now I wear my natural hair. She was the catalyst. It wasn't YouTube, it wasn't watching anybody, it was her. And we had a very, very close friendship, and we had a falling out over a boy, which is so dumb. I was like dating someone that I had no business dating, and then we broke up, and I kind of felt her pull away from me, and I felt like she took this person's side, and we had like this big breakup. And then we kind of got back together friends. She wrote me like a beautiful letter over the summer. I was sensitive, and then we kind of basically had another falling out over boys, which once again, so dumb. I will never ever do that again in my life. And I think the crux of our issue, which I think is why it reminds me of Ice Spice and Cleo, there was an air of competitiveness between us that I don't think was either of our faults. We were 2 black girls that went to a predominantly white private college with a lot of rich people, and there's a hierarchy that I think was felt, and there was I don't know if a desire, but almost like she couldn't help it, feel like me and her were in competition and that we were jockeying for a position. But it was like I was like in competition with her not realizing I was in competition. So I would approach things from like a really like emotional way, and I was very emotional and needy, and that probably was a lot for her at the same time. I'm not gonna lie, I'm like a very like, I can be a needy friend, and I'm something I'm working on. I don't have the best I'm better. I'm 31 now, obviously, but at that age I didn't know anything about mental health. I didn't know anything about coping skills. I didn't know anything about like what it meant to have emotional resilience. So I think it was a lot for her, and I think I didn't understand some of the aspects of relationship, and I didn't really take into account how those outside forces like white supremacy and anti-blackness bled into our relationship. So I'm not saying that's what's happening with Cleo and Ice Spice. I don't know them, I wasn't there, but I can imagine the environment in the rap community and the music industry is very similar, where there's a feeling that they can only be one. And I'm wondering if Ice Spice felt as if she had to assert her dominance. And when people try to assert their dominance over someone by belittling them or putting them down, it makes them look bad. And as you grow older and wiser and become more into your womanhood, a womanhood as in your adulthood, you realize, like, I don't have to do all that. If I'm the best, I'm the best. I don't have to push someone down. My work will outshine itself. If I'm the headliner, I'm the headliner. I shouldn't even be worried about what somebody else is doing, because when I get on stage, I get on stage, you know? Especially if it's your friend, you should want her to eat as much as you would want to eat, because that's your girl. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think she realized that. So I think there's a real lack of maturity. What I didn't like on Cleo's side was she started getting very like, Ice Spice is dark energy and has a demonic force, and every time she was around, she had a frown on her face. To me, from what Cleo described, I would not be surprised if Ice Spice maybe was a little depressed. She had reached this amazing height in her career, and maybe she still felt upset, empty. Her album didn't do well. You know, she's in a beef. There is a lot of controversy surrounding her. Maybe she was just really sad and depressed and having a difficult time dealing with the demands of being a celebrity and being a star. And maybe that's why she was moping around. And I don't think it was fair for Cleo to throw that in her face. Everything else, she doesn't have an excuse for how she treated her, but it's like everybody isn't like demonic and there's an evil spirit and they have this big conspiracy. Like Cleo was speaking like this was a conspiracy, and I remember feeling that way with my friendship, being like, from the beginning this person was out to get me. It's very dramatic. Sometimes people are just mean and behave badly for a myriad of reasons. It really doesn't have anything to do with you. You were just their like target. But it's not all of that. It's too much. I don't like when people make everything so demonic. She just is like not a nice girl, and she treated you unkindly, and that's good enough to say. She doesn't have to be a demon from the pits of hell. She's just like got a nasty little attitude. So as far as the music, it's not working for neither of them, honestly. I listened to both. It's just not good to me. I think I just wrote down that the lyrics are they lack maturity. There's no wittiness, juvenile, lack of depth. All of the songs on the Y2K album from Ice Spice sound the same. There's no wordplay or flow. It's just kind of like Ice Spice is like quietly rapping over a loud beat, and then Cleo is like screaming over a loud beat, and neither of it feels organic. There's no flow. There's no feeling of the music. It's like you're trying to ride the wave of the music or be over the music, and there's no groove. There's no energy to me, you know. And I think a lot of these girls need to study. You need to listen to other artists. You need to read. I'm not saying they're not doing it, but based on their output, it doesn't seem to be like a lot of thought is put into the beat selection, a lot of thought is put into the lyrics. And to me, it's all aesthetic over everything else. Even with the Y2K of it all, nothing about the album gives Y2K. You just said Y2K because that's a hot aesthetic right now. But there's a whole music scene that we listen to. We listen to music at that time. And it's just like, why not take inspiration from that? I didn't feel that in the album. But I am going to say something funny that Cleo said. She said, before you met me, you were wearing bodysuits and Jordans, which cracked me up because she was wearing bodysuits and Jordans. And she's like, now you're wearing mini skirts and chunky boots. And I just thought it was so funny. And she's right. So I wish the best for both of these young ladies. This is like your first friendship falling out in your early 20s. Baby, ooh, it's a rough one. So I hope I don't know if I hope they figure it out. I don't know, but I just have a lot of empathy and understanding that this was rough. Okay, on to music I do like. I have been listening to the Pop Girls. I'm very, very surprised by that. Okay, because I didn't think I'd be a fan of these girls at all. I kind of was like, okay, these girls are kind of cute and corny, but like, what are they giving? But and their names are Sabrina Carpenter and Chaperone. Okay, can you believe I like two of the most famous musical artists in the world? Really, it's like specific songs, and so I'm gonna talk about a song from each girl that I have been loving and kind of what I love about it. So it's Sabrina Carpenter's Bedchem, which is like a bedroom pop, R&B inspired, sexy song. She has really funny lyrics, which I think makes the song stand out from just any other kind of sexy song. It's like the funny lyrics, the play on words. I don't know if this is a direct sample, but the beginning of it sounds like to me as I'm so into you. And it has this beautiful, like warm, like it opens with this, like this, and it feels very like nostalgic and reminiscent of that song without feeling like a direct copy. It has like the same feeling. I'm trying to, with all of my might, pretend the song is not about Barry Keoghan. Barry Keoghan is allegedly, I don't know, rumored to be dating Sabrina Carpenter. They're always like liking each other's pictures and being flirty, and he was in her Please 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 video. He scares me. He scares me bad. The first time I ever saw him was in this movie, Sacred Deer, which is really good. You should watch it, with Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman. He scares me. I don't know. It's something about his eyes. His eyes are so round, and I don't know. He just scares me. So I don't really know how she does it, but like, God bless. He's not sexy to me. I know a lot of people like, he's hot, like in Saltburn. He just, the moment I would have saw him, I'd have been like, back on up, Irish. Okay, I can't handle that. So I really love that song. And then the other song I really like by Chaperone, I like the album. I like the beat. The, what is it? The Fall and Rise of a Midwest Princess. I like After Midnight. And I think it's more so the lyrical content that I like. Once again, witty, funny, cutting edge, tongue-in-cheek. But the opening, she's kind of just talking about like, and I feel like this is echoed in like the Pink Pony Club. She's talking about how her mother would be like upset that she's out after midnight, and it reminds me of when I was in college. My mom would call me and be like, "Are you out in the night air?" And she'd be like, "Are you out in the night air? What are you doing?" And there was this feeling of like I was doing something bad. Like, I was a late bloomer. I was a goody two shoes. I did everything I was supposed to do. And when I got to maybe my sophomore year in college, I started to like go out and be up late, be out to 3 o'clock in the morning, okay? And there was this feeling of like, oh my God, this is not necessarily the woman that my parents raised, how they wanted me to act, but I'm exploring and discovering, and I'm being a little bad. I'm staying out late. I'm drinking a Smirnoff Ice, and I'm 18 years old or whatever. So I really related to that feeling of discovering yourself and having to like go like opposite of like maybe how you were raised, the environment you were raised in, because you're like discovering other little parts of yourself. And there is something magical about being out late at night, midnight, and having fun and drinking. And some people, that's a very dark time for them. I had a very controlled experience. I was still able to go to school and do the things I needed to do, but I was able to have that release and that fun. That was really important for me as somebody who was so serious and so one-track focused, that I was able to have so much fun in college. So anything that reminds me of that, I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Also, back to Sabrina Carpenter. I know that Ariana Grande is young, but she has sons in the game. Ponytail gave birth because at the end of the Bedchem song, she hit some runs, and I said, is that Ariana Grande? That's high praise, because I think Ariana Grande has great voice. There's some vocal stackings, there's some runs in there that kind of remind me of Brandy by way of Ariana Grande, which it doesn't surprise me that the Boy Is Mine video, Brandy's in it. If you listen to Imagine on, I want to say that's on Thank You Next, there is like a moment in it and you're like, it's Brandy. It reminds me of Brandy so much. So this feels like, to me, Sabrina feels like a girl that studied, that listened. She has her own spin on it, but there's something reminiscent of like a really great singer doing something fun with the vocals, adding a little different spin on it that I really enjoy. But Miss Ponytail, you did that, diva. It reminds me of Sweetener, which is like the first album of Ariana Grande's that I liked. I would listen to like her on the radio or whatever, but I decided to listen to Sweetener and I loved it. I really, really like Sweetener. It's probably my favorite album of hers that I have listened to. I feel like she has kind of left that R&B space. I really didn't like Eternal Sunshine at all. Not because it's bad, it's just not my cup of tea. So I really like these ladies, and I thought everyone did such a good job. Yeah, so let me know what kind of music you're into. Are you listening to the pop girls? I need to listen to Lotto's new album, Georgia Peach. I'm really excited. I've also been watching some movies. Y'all, I watched Deliverance on Netflix. Listen, all I will say is Glenn Close is the greatest actor of all time. When I saw her, no hair on her head, V-neck shirts showing cleavage, and coochie cutters with a baseball bat chasing Monique, she's the world's greatest actress. I'm sorry. Nobody is doing what Glenn Close is doing. Like, the way she embodied this character, this ridiculous character in this ridiculous movie with ridiculous dialogue, and I'm like, this is a cartoon character, and I'm like, this woman is her mind. Like, she's off the wall. But a movie I actually watched that was good is Love Lies Bleeding. Warning, it's very graphic. There's gun violence. There's a lot going on. It was a really good movie. To me, watching it, it made me want to get ripped. Shout out to Katie O'Brien. I mean, the diva was ripped down. It's about a bodybuilder and a gym owner, and they fall in love, and mayhem and foolishness happens. One of the main characters is a female bodybuilder. For those of you who don't know, my father is a bodybuilder. So I grew up going to shows and being around weights and chicken cutlets and rice and broccoli. So that world is very familiar to me and fascinating. And so I thought that it was pretty accurate to what it's like to be a bodybuilder, as far as just the diet and the posing and all that stuff. And yeah, but it made me want to get ripped. I was like, I need to be strong so I can beat people up. There's a scene at the end where Katie O'Brien becomes a giant, and I'm just like, this is cool. I don't really like Kristen Stewart, but she really did good in this. I liked her character. I felt like I could understand her. Everybody looked sweaty. I know everybody needed a good bath. They needed a scrub, but it was a really good movie. I would suggest watching it. So that's all, y'all. I'm not going to be before you all too much longer. I didn't have that much to say, just a few little thoughts. Once again, I want to thank you guys for listening to the IRL Internet Girl podcast and watching on YouTube. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok at IRL_Internet_Girl, as well as Instagram. And you can follow me on Twitter at love_Jones90. If you like my makeup look, if you're watching me and you like my makeup, how I do that, please check out my makeup page, IRL_Beauty93. And yeah, make sure you rate and review. That really helps the podcast when you give a 5-star rating. Please give a 5-star rating because I am a 5-star chick. You can ask Lil Wayne and leave a review. I really appreciate it. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the IRL Internet Girl. All one word. You don't have to turn on your notification bell. I know you're not going to do that, but subscribe. And if you're listening to this or you're watching this and you follow my Instagram and you subscribe to my YouTube and you see a post about this in the YouTube comment section and in the Instagram comment section, why don't you post an emoji of a ice cube with a fire sign if you made it to the end? Do that for me, and I would really appreciate that. So once again, thank you all for listening. I love you, and I will see you very soon. Bye.
I heard black women was a source, of course. I'm kicking it for all of you and yours.